You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, hey, Jim, you want to jump into the redesigned passport debate for just a second?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, good. So today on the floor of the House of Commons, because that's where, all the good stuff really happens apparently these days, Pierre Poilievre, not missing an opportunity to bash Justin Trudeau, decided to focus on this redesign of the Canadian passport.
Of course, yeah.
Here's a little snippet.
This is the new passport they're so excited about, Mr. Speaker. They erased Vimy Ridge to put in an image of a squirrel eating a nut. They erased Terry Fox, a guy who ran halfway across the country to fight cancer, to put in a man raking leaves. And they erased Quebec City in order to put in what appears to be an image of a boyhood prime minister swimming at Harrington Lake. Could this prime minister be any more out of touch with Canadians?
Okay, all right. So it got a little, and the prime minister, by the way, stood up and then, of course, pointed out that the Conservatives have been doing nothing for veterans in this country. I think he used the term wrapping themselves in the flag of veterans, but in fact, cutting financing, right? So let me first of all ask what you thought about what you heard today. Are we making a lot of something that doesn't need to be made a lot of?
Absolutely. We're deep in clickbait territory here because honestly, first of all, do you remember what page the Vimy Ridge picture was on your passport?
No,
because you know why? Because you probably didn't even know there was
a
picture of Vimy Ridge on your passport.
I vaguely did.
Because people don't go leafing through their passports as they would their scrapbook or their diary they kept when they were 17 years old. You know why? Because it's a passport. That's why. So, if I ever went through my passport, it would be look at the stamps, right? Mm-hmm. You go, hey, look, I've been here. This is absolute rubbish. This is and remember how it was being spun because they're saying, they're going to get rid of the fleur-de-lis. And I'm thinking, well, that is going to be kind of interesting because if you get rid of that, you got to get rid of the whole coat of arms because it's part of the coat of arms. Right. And of course, that didn't happen. But listen, the evidence is there, folks. Ask ourselves the question, which do you care more about, how your passport looks or whether time and oxygen in the House of Commons is being burned up to debate how your passport looks?
Excellent point.
Can we agree that it's ugly?
No, I kind of like it. It's okay.
Really? Oh, it's ugly.
For as much time as you spend looking at it, it's fine.
No, Tasha, I'm sorry. You have to, what do you mean ugly? Compared to what?
Right.
Well, it's simplistic looking.
Well, the other one was so nondescript. There was nothing. They were just blank pages with a frame. This one at least has some images there. I think it's kind of cool.
Really?
I like it, yeah.
No, it's not my aesthetic. It doesn't appeal to me aesthetically.
Like Jim said, though, how often are you going to be looking at your passport?
Exactly.
So,
I'll look at the stamps like Jim.
Beyond that, Jim, they finally went ahead, despite a lot of people saying, please don't do this. Not the best way to get it done. And all the MNAs voted themselves a big pay hike.
Absolutely, 30%. It's been long overdue. I think, 18 years or whatever since they had their last raise. And people, this is ridiculous. I could do that for a lot less money. One story that flew under the radar, I don't know if you guys have discussed it, but the idea that the National Assembly now is contemplating installing surveillance cameras at the homes of MNAs. So I'm really wondering at that point, when you talk about your job or whatever, you're having a tough day at the office. I ain't making that kind of money. Remember, I don't want to go over this again. We've talked about the hours of work, how it's not the same. This is not a 9-to-5 job, never was. But the idea that now people actually show up at your house. We had an example in Point Claire earlier this year where a councillor left council because she just couldn't take it. This is part and parcel of that job. And I'll raise something else, and it may sound very cynical, but it may also be pragmatic as well. But one of the reasons I am not blowing a gasket over the fact that these people voted themselves a $30,000 a year raise is I would be a lot more comfortable if my elected officials were well paid enough and well pensioned enough that if somebody tosses them a brown envelope across their desk, they can say, put that back in your coat.
Okay.
Brian Mulroney referenced there, but I feel like, I don't know, I think if you're prone to corruption, it doesn't matter how much you're making, you're always going to want more.
You might think twice. Yeah, first, and of course, there's the other thing, and I don't often raise the flag for this guy, but Francois Legault noted it was tough to recruit how can I put it, quality candidates who would be taking a financial haircut to go into politics.
Yeah, the question then becomes, though, is that really why you're getting involved in politics? Because, you can make yourself $150,000 a year and get a nice pension after 4 years or whatever it is. Is that sort of the qualifier for you to say, you know what, I think I'd like to be involved in public service? I don't know that's the answer.
Well, I'll tell you what is going to make you not want to do it is knowing that you might need a security camera because people are harassing you, not just online, but at your own home.
And then it's a matter of trade-off. How much money do you need to make to be able to accept something like that as part of your job? So I don't know, Jim, but you're saying what some of us said as well. It's been many, many years since they got their pay raise. So maybe we let this thing go. Is this over in a day or so? We forget about this?
Oh, yeah, because, we're in the middle of a big crisis in Quebec.
Oh.
And it's not going away. All of this shall pass. It'll be like, eider down in the wind, because this weekend, Sherbrooke, CAC convention, immigration crisis. You can see it coming right now. The whole dance that began last weekend with the everybody at the Journal de Montreal taking sips from a bottle of freak-out juice, and now they have their front page. We're in danger. There'll be no Quebec. There'll be no French. And all of a sudden, here's Francois Legault. He's grabbing, he's hugging onto that issue the way Trump hugs onto the American flag. And it's going to be front and center at the convention. And it'll be the main channel, I'm sorry to say, of discourse in politics for the foreseeable future. Because I know we're talking about something that's supposed to happen 70 years from now. But, let's get worried this week and indeed perhaps for the rest of their term.
So this is not on the list, but I want to ask you this because I'm going to take a guess you might have watched last night. Just what you thought of that whole CNN town hall with Trump. What was the takeaway?
I didn't watch it on specifically because it was perhaps the most cynical piece of garbage coming out of American cable TV. And given the state of American cable TV, that's saying something. But on the other hand, please, my friends south of the border, don't say this is who we are. This is precisely what happened in 2016. They normalized the guy who they should have been digging on. Now they know who he is. A day before, he was found liable for basically a sexual assault and for libeling his victim. And he's in there talking and with obviously a hand-picked room, just making fun or being contemptuous of everything. His accuser, you name it, repeating the same lies. And this is on what is supposed to be a mainstream news station. They're catching a lot of flack about that today, but nowhere near the amount I think they deserve. And it'll be interesting to see when the ratings finally come out, that if we see that, playing clickbait with a guy who wants to blow up the country is really sound corporate strategy.
And let's see if, in fact, those ratings, let's just say, go through the roof. What's the chance they will have him back on again?
Oh, it's 1,000%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Therein lies the problem. Yep.
And
James
we can
Mennie.
only hope that, most of Americans who either tuned in or heard about this are smart enough to know that if you're on TV, that doesn't mean you are worthy of attention.
Fair enough. I just wonder, and I was going to just say goodbye. I was wondering that, if you're a Republican looking at this and possibly considering a presidential run after seeing him last night, what do you do sitting with your people trying to think, how do you counter this human snow machine? I mean, he's a basically, and I think I used the term, what do I call him? A human bulldozer. That's what he is when he starts talking.
Right.
How do you counter something like that if you're running against him?
I think if I was a contender for the Republican nomination for the presidency, I would use a different simile with this guy. I would basically say, this is Yosemite Sam looking for a match in a powder magazine, so we just have to sit back and wait until he finds it.
Okay. James Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Adam.